So, you think being a gynecologist is all about being a medical superhero with a stethoscope of wisdom, swooping in to solve mysteries of the female body like some Sherlock Holmes of the uterus. Patients leaving your office inspired, feeling like they just met Oprah in Scrubs. Yeah, no. Let's burst that bubble real quick. Here's how it really goes down. Your alarm blares, yanking you out of the kind of sleep that leaves you looking less like a doctor and more like a sleep-deprived raccoon. Forget superhero vibes, it's all about barely surviving. Scrubs? Not the fashionable kind you see on TV. Think functional potato sack. And when you inevitably spill coffee on yourself, congrats. You're now dressed in Starbucks dumpster chic. It sucks, but at least the caffeine makes it bearable. Then comes the office. The air is filled with the delightful aroma of antiseptic wipes, and your first patient walks in, phone in hand, armed with a PhD in Googling. This is where the fun begins. You'll be battling myths like, can I get pregnant from a toilet seat? Nope. Why does my period hate me? Sit tight, that's a whole TED Talk. Gynecology isn't just medicine, it's therapy, myth-busting, and a test of your ability to answer awkward questions without bursting into laughter. It's messy, exhausting, and sometimes feels like a sitcom you didn't audition for. But hey, it's part of the job. Your day starts like any other. You've survived years of grueling schooling, countless exams, and long nights of residency. But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepares you for the comedy show that is patient awkwardness. The first patient strolls in, phone in hand, and hits you with the 6 most terrifying words in healthcare. So I Googled my symptoms. Ah, yes, the WebMD warriors. These brave souls have ventured into the depths of the internet, emerging armed with every catastrophic diagnosis imaginable. They look at you, wide-eyed, and ask, is this normal? 99 times out of 100, the answer is yes, it's normal. But do they believe you? Absolutely not. Then comes the questions, the ones that make you question your own life choices. Can the moon make my cramps worse? Now, I could give a scientific explanation about tidal forces and how they don't influence uteruses, but let's be honest, part of me wants to lean into the absurdity. Yes, during a full moon, your cramps might just transform into a werewolf-esque howl. Of course, I don't say that. Professionalism wins out, even when it's a struggle. And let's not forget the infamous pizza theorists. Why does my period get heavier when I eat pizza? Hold up, what kind of magical pizza are you eating? And does it come with a side of Hogwarts spells? You keep a straight face, you nod comfortingly, and explain with all the empathy you can muster that there's no scientific link between her deep dish and her hormones. Meanwhile, you're fighting the urge to suggest a study on the mystical powers of pizza. But here's the thing, beneath the absurdity lies a sort of charm. These questions, no matter how bizarre, remind you that people are just trying to make sense of their bodies. Sometimes they just take the scenic route, through Google, the moon, and magical pepperoni. Beneath the awkwardness, there's a charm to their curiosity. But let's not sugarcoat it. The job isn't always a laugh. One moment you're debunking moon myths, the next you're gently explaining that, no, their heavy periods don't mean that they have a rare disease that affects 0.1% of the population. It's messy, awkward, and sometimes outright ridiculous. But it's also strangely rewarding, because at the end of the day, if you're not laughing at the pizza questions, you'll end up crying into your coffee. Ah, the exam room. Ground zero for all things awkward. It's sterile, it's clinical, and it's filled with that crinkly paper on the table that sounds like a potato chip bag every time someone moves. It's not even funny anymore. Just your favorite daily background noise. Not. And let's not forget the stirrups. Who designed these torture devices? Every time you see them, you half expect someone to say, "Welcome to your medieval gynecology appointment." Your patient walks in, eyes wide, like they've just entered the set of a sci-fi horror movie. And you're standing there trying to look cool and professional while holding a speculum, thinking, this is my life now. You attempt to break the tension with a joke, something lighthearted about how fun this is. But let's be real, nothing about stirrups and awkward silence screams comedy gold. Then comes the exam. Questions are asked, checks are done, and you're trying your best to act like it's the most normal thing in the world. But both of you know the truth. It's weird. So weird. You're practically doing yoga to get the right angle, and they're lying there, probably wishing they'd canceled this appointment like they did the last 3 times. Just when you think the awkwardness has peaked, they hit you with the golden question. Is this normal? At this point, you've said, yes, it's normal so many times, you can make it your ringtone. But again, they still never believe you. You could have a flashing neon sign that says, it's normal, and they'd still look at you like you're hiding a secret diagnosis. The exam room is a vortex of discomfort, weirdness, and the occasional moment of existential dread. But hey, it's part of the gig. And if you're not laughing at the absurdity of holding a speculum while debating the normalcy of cramps, then what are you even doing here? The waiting room, the ultimate stage for awkwardness. It's a psychological experiment where everyone pretends they're totally fine while quietly freaking out inside. You walk in to grab the next patient chart, and suddenly all eyes are on you. It's like you're hosting a game show called Who's Getting Examined Next, where nobody wants to win. Some patients stare intently at their phones, scrolling Instagram like it's their last lifeline. Others sit stiffly, trying to act casual but looking more like they're awaiting sentencing. And then there are the men, the partners, the supporters, the unwilling audience. Their body language screams, "I don't know why I'm here, and I'm not sure I want to find out." Every time you walk by, they glance up for a split second before immediately looking at their shoes, as if they can will themselves invisible. You can practically hear their thoughts. Please don't call my name. Please let this nightmare end. But guess what? They're not even the most awkward ones in the room. The tension is palpable, and the unspoken truth hangs in the air. Nobody wants to be here, including you. It's a room full of people silently united in their mutual dread, and you, the unfortunate MC, trying to keep the show moving. Someone's got to do it, right? Here's a fun fact no one tells you about being a gynecologist. It's 50% medical expertise and 50% being a therapist. You think you'll be diagnosing rare conditions and saving lives, but instead, you're knee-deep in conversations about vaginal pH, menstrual cycles, and why Google is still not a licensed medical professional. One of the classics, the pH discussion. A patient will sit there dead serious and ask, "Is my pH off? I noticed a weird scent." Cue your internal monologue screaming, "Are we really doing this?" But again, you smile, nod, and explain for the 100th time that the variations in pH are totally normal. You could practically moonlight as a fragrance consultant with the amount of scent reassurance you dish out daily. And then there's the tampon drama, the great organic versus non-organic debate. Scented? Unscented? Someone should honestly make a Netflix docuseries about this. Patients will launch into a full-on discussion about brands and preferences, and you're just sitting there thinking, how did tampons become the hill we're dying on today? It's not just about the science, it's the sheer randomness of it all. Questions like, does eating garlic affect my vaginal pH? Or is it weird that I name my tampons? Have you wondering why this wasn't covered in med school? This is the life of a gynecologist. Wow, it's a wild ride. The diagnosis dance. Patients come in expecting the worst, but most of the time it's just another checkup. Any discomfort down there, you ask, and suddenly, it's as if you've asked for their internet search history. For you, it's just a regular Tuesday. For them, it's a full-blown emergency. Breaking bad news to a patient is like trying to admit you forgot to water your friend's prized plant. It's all about the delivery. You sit there mustering your most professional yet empathetic face, but internally it's pure chaos. How do you drop the bombshell that their weird symptom isn't caused by some rare disease they found on page 17 of Google, but something mundane like yeast? You don't want to minimize their concerns, but also you're low-key hoping they don't start crying because your last tissue box ran out during yesterday's tampon naming saga. So you go for the humor Hail Mary. The good news is this is totally treatable. The bad news, you might need to make a quick pharmacy run. They laugh, and just like that, the tension breaks. It's a fine line, but hey, if you can lighten the mood without turning the moment into a stand-up routine, that's a win. Because at the end of the day, laughter might not be the best medicine, but it's way cheaper than therapy. You spend your day reassuring them that, yes, discharge is normal and no, cramps aren't a sign of something catastrophic. You're part medical translator, part reassurance expert, and by the end, you're running on fumes. But hey, someone's got to let Karen know her symptoms are just a regular Tuesday, not the apocalypse. Being a gynecologist means meeting women from every walk of life, in every end of the personality spectrum. You've got the quiet ones, sitting there like they're in a hostage negotiation, barely speaking, wishing they could teleport out of the room. You crack a joke, but their death stare says, not helping. Then there are the oversharers. Oh, the oversharers. They don't just give you their medical history, they give you everything. Their boyfriend's bad habits, their sister's drama, and sometimes their cat's dietary issues. Just when you think they've run out of steam, they throw in relationship advice like, you should really date someone who respects your work hours. It's part therapy, part stand-up comedy, and 100% unpredictable. Every day feels like a Netflix dramedy that you didn't sign up for, but you can't stop watching. At the end of the day, you've made it through, barely. You've calmed the panic, survived oversharers, and kept a straight face through questions you couldn't even make up. It's exhausting, chaotic, and somehow involves more talk about pizza and tampons than you thought humanly possible. But amazingly, it's weirdly rewarding. You're the go-to for awkward questions no one else dares to answer. You're the "is this normal" hotline, the calm in their storm of Google-induced hysteria. So if you're up for a career that's part doctor, part comedian, and full chaos, grab your speculum and buckle up. It's a wild ride.